Díomh cóide agus fáilte arás. Hello friends and welcome back to the Cray McCree podcast. Elaine is Anam Dum. My name is Elaine Doyle and it is with deep heartfelt gratitude that I welcome you back to this sacred space. How are yous getting on, everyone? How are y'all keeping? How are you keeping? As we say here in Kilkenny, well I say in my thick country accent. Sending ye so much love and hope and gratitude and peace on this beautiful day, on this law all in Éireann, this beautiful day in Ireland. It is currently the 9th of June, and we are on the approach to the summer solstice. So it is a beautiful, bountiful, blossoming time. And I'm excited to be here again to share some musings from my heart. Because I need it, and hopefully you're here because you need it. And hopefully you receive some hope and peace and love from today's episode. So before we get stuck in, let's drop into our beautiful hearts. So just allowing yourself to bring your conscious awareness from your head down into your beautiful sacred heart. Tá mé McCree anish. Ar an talún néfa. Tá mé I mo crí anish. I am in my heart now. This sacred temple of love where my soul can enter in. The portal to the divine, to heaven on earth, to God source creator. Let us dwell in this temple of love. Let us receive and sit here in this cradle of divine love. Let us be here for the next hour or so, being, receiving. So yes, just allowing yourself to soften into the heart space. Remembering that our mission, this is quoting my friend here, thank you Jerris, our mission is a state of being. That is our mission. I really feel that. To be in a place of love, softness and receivership. So beyond the words that I share, let us dwell in our mission. In this beingness of gratitude, of appreciation for the breath of life, for the earth, the air, the water, the fire that sustains us. We are living in a time where there is much crucifixion around us, so much war consciousness, not just in war zones, but in family homes, within workplaces. And yet, as we know, we must be the peace and the love and hope within this. There is an alternative reality that we must bring into the world through our sacred beingness, bodies and hearts. That is why you are here. That is why you are awake. That is why we are awake and here. This is why even. We knew we were incarnating onto the planet at this time where there was great separation. We knew that, lads, right? And we chose to come here to help people evolve out of this separation consciousness, to help Mother Earth increase her vibration. This is why we are here. We are the leaders. We are the rainbow tribe. We are the light workers. We are the healers. We are the medicine people bringing our light to our communities and families and hearts and wombs. This is why we are here. Let us actually remember why we're here. Why we are here. Let us not lose sight of the fact that we can bring light to the darkest of places. That we are here to unite separation consciousness. Unity consciousness weaving across the planet through our hearts and bodies. Okay, we need to bring ourselves into this vibration on the lead up to this summer solstice where the light is at its strongest. Let us beam like that sun will for the solstice. I know here in Ireland it's been quite autumnal, cold weather because we're being called inwards to stoke those embers and flames within our hearts so we can beam our light at the solstice. It's warming up here. Our hearts are warming up. We're ready. We're getting ready to boom our light, beam our light, whatever it is. Because this is why we're here. I'm going to keep saying it. This is why we're here. So I really want to stay in this vibration of my heart, of my remembrance these past days and weeks, lads. Oh my goddess. Fully remembering exactly why I'm here, but not just remembering it, feeling it in my body and knowing what is needed of me, of us as a collective awakened tribe of beings. And I'm going to share some of what has been coming true for me. Love and light, you say. Love and light, right? What does that actually look like day to day? Peace. We are here to bring peace, soothness, Shia Khan, on a planet that is not experiencing peace in many corners, pockets of the world. How do we bring peace to this chaotic world? Firstly, bringing peace to our own selves. We cannot begin to heal the external world. We can try until we really bring and cultivate that peace within. We can try, actually, and it's good because when we try do that, it can force us into more peace. But I honestly believe the strongest influence we have in this world is our inner world, inner landscape. There's so much out of our control. Right? Circle of influence. What's within your circle of influence? Me, my heart, my womb, my lineage, my ancestors, my descendants yet to come, my family. And some of that even isn't attainable. Myself. I might be able to shift my family, I can shift myself. Radical responsibility. I think it could have been either Muji or Eckhart, one of those teachers, I look at their stuff a lot. If you're choosing peace, choose peace. Someone asked me, what makes you happy? And I said, this isn't a lifetime about being happy. It's about being peaceful. This is about Christ consciousness. This is about, I am aiming for enlightenment, ascension. It's beyond happy and sad, good or bad. Right? If you know, you know what I'm talking about. Like, peace is something that we can have no matter what the external situation is. Easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. But I'm here for it. And I'm going to do everything I can in this lifetime to attain it. Inner peace. And I really want all of the people who listen to this podcast to come on this journey with me. I need you. I need you to cultivate peace and love, because that is actually our natural origins, lads, right? This isn't about Christianity or Christ or Druidic ways or traditions or Buddhism or whatever other lineages there are out there. It's actually beyond all that. It's just our natural frequency. All of these teachings and lineages help us get there. They're pointing the way. Christ, Jesus, Buddha, they're all helping us to get there. But really what it is just how we're our full potential as humans. Jesus said, what I can do, you can do better. Right? This isn't, I'm not special. You also have this ability. We have to start, I feel, I'm just going to speak for myself, aiming big, lads. Even though it's an ordinary aim because it's our natural origin. But I'm aiming for like enlightenment in this lifetime. Why not? I read a quote in a book. It's like, if not in this lifetime, then when? Well, if it's not in this lifetime, I'm going to do a full death ceremony. Going to get my priestess sisters to do a death ceremony with me when I die, not with me, when I'm dead, to pray that I wake up in the next lifetime. I'm born into the next lifetime awake so I can continue on my journey of enlightenment. I've clearly had a very powerful few weeks, lads, since I've been on here last. My bleed was the start of it. It's a whole other podcast episode in my episode in itself. Through the menstruation, I was brought straight to heaven. Full remembrance of why I'm here and the ability we have as humans in this lifetime specifically. There are so many ascended masters present walking the land that have incarnated here, right? That are here to help us ascend. Like before, we would have had to travel to Egypt and India and Jerusalem to read these sacred texts, but now we can Google them or buy the books. The books really have helped me, to be fair. But it's beyond books, it's beyond reading, it's beyond learning, it's a feeling. That is only attainable, I believe, when we're out of the head and into the heart. And here we are, I'm drinking me rose tea. And I'm in my heart, and I'm going to smell these beautiful pink roses that I have from my ancestral land here. I'm going to talk more about what the pink rose has taught me these past few weeks. But first, coming back to peace, suaveness, Síochána. If anyone is on guard as Síochána, it's us. So, for those of you who are not Irish, on guard as Síochána means guardians of peace, and it's what we call our policemen. We as the healers, we're the on guard as Síochána. Anyways, how does one hold inner peace no matter what happens? Love to hear your answers and reflections on this in the comments. It is possible to comment on Spotify, just saying. I'm like trying to sum up how I have claimed that. Claiming, because I'm not there yet, obviously. Connecting with God's source creator energy, connecting with the divine, because when we come in contact with the divine, we're coming back to our natural origins, which is peace. So it can be complicated, but it's not if we're stripping ourselves back of conditioning, ancestral trauma, social conditioning, what's been put onto us, these spells, this amnesia, this trauma, this abuse, stripping it all back. For the last 2 years, I've talked about how I've done that on my podcast, right? I feel like a lot of it is stripped back now, and I'm like, oh, right, this is it. I'm getting very close to the authentic real me. Okay, I've been getting there over the past number of years, but there's just something like, woohoo, I have arrived. I have arrived. Keep with your devotional practices, your radical responsibility. It mightn't happen in a day or a week or a year, but you will get there where you're like, all right, now I am, the goggles are off, the amnesia is lifted, now I can see. And I know loads of you, I know you personally, I know you're there as well. Of course, we're still hit with unconsciousness within us that is still there. You know, Jesus didn't become enlightened just like that. Oh no, brothers and sisters. He spent 32 years of his life preparing for it, many lifetimes preparing for it, and was born into a family of priests and priestesses and ascended masters, right? So maybe this will take us a couple of lifetimes. Who cares? Let's set the goal. Let's set the goal high. Let's set the bar high. We're here to be Buddhas, Christs. Christ is a title of enlightenment, not a person, by the way. I'm sure you all know that. I'm talking about like Lu, the god of light from the Tuatha De Danann. His consciousness is really high. Boan, Danu, you know the crew I'm talking about. Right? We're aiming high. Why not? If we're here on this planet where there's so much separation, let's make the most of it by being the exact opposite of separation. And there's so much light on the planet right now. We're being supported astrologically. We're being supported in community. We're being supported by the ancestors, the beings of light. Let's do it, lads. Okay. I'm going to give you some examples of how daily I have to choose peace. Daily. I might have mentioned it in my last episode, The Pilgrim's Path. Might have, where I was on pilgrimage for 4 weeks and my bag, by mistake, ended up in Scotland. I live in Ireland. Wouldn't have really cared, but my laptop and my passport is in it. Hence why the recording mightn't sound amazing right now, because I still haven't got my bag nearly a month later, and because I'm recording on my phone. I usually record at my laptop, so I haven't been able to do any extra work besides my one-to-one work. I'm meant to be going to Wales next week. I've got no passport. And there was times where I just felt really annoyed, but in general I would say 98% of it I was just like, no, I trust this, I trust God's plan, I trust God's plan, I trust God's plan. I really wouldn't have cared about the bag if my laptop wasn't in it, but there's work I wanted to do. And how fucking, sorry now, insignificant all that seems now. And I got word that I wasn't going to get it back maybe before I was meant to go to Wales, right? So that could be next week. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I pulled an oracle card and it said, blessing in disguise, trust the timing. Trust the timing. And the next day, a family member was unwell and I had to bring them to hospital. And if I wasn't there, I don't know what she would have done. And I was really, really worried about this person that I could cry, love them so much. And I was like, I cannot believe I was worried about my stupid laptop and bag, because I'm meant to be here for this person as she manoeuvres this. And these things we worry about, lads, they don't matter. They don't matter. Even the worry about money or the land that we want to get, or all these things don't matter. When it comes down to it, I just like all the tensions just fell from my body. And I think, you know, when you're around people who are all, like, they're building up the story more about why you should be annoyed about something, we got to detach from these stories, because there's always something to give out about, it's all about perspective. We can give out about something, or we can just be at peace with it, not see it as good or bad. And I've read parables about this from India and in Eckhart's book A New Earth, where he was talking about like a spiritual teacher, and he won, I don't know, here's an example, he won the lottery and people were like, oh, that's great, isn't it? And he was like, oh, I don't see it as good or bad. And then something bad happens, let's say someone dies, and people are like, oh, that's terrible, and he doesn't make any reaction to it. So it's this non-attachment to good and bad. Of course we can celebrate happiness and love and good things, but when we become over attached to these things, we think that that's how life should be all the time, and our peace is determined by good, happy things happening. And you know, I was watching a YouTube video by Pam Gregory, an astrologist on YouTube, love her, but I haven't watched her stuff in ages. I haven't been watching anything. I've been away from technology a lot. And she was like, yeah, 2025 is the most intense astrological year in like 3,000 years, if not 12,000 years. Things that are happening now haven't happened for 12,000 years. So it's a really intense time. We as humans are metamorphosizing really, really, really quickly. Like we're completely changing of how we are in the world. She's like, we're really coming into more heart-centered ways. And a lot of people in my life that I know have been very unwell recently, because we're at this precipice of like, if we're not fully devoted to our awakening and to our health and to our heart, it's going to be very hard to continue on this planet. And I'm just seeing things crumbling around me, and I'm like, I have to have non-attachment to this now, because it's actually going to get even more intense. And I think that takes a lot of trust. I think the biggest thing that takes me away from peace is distrust. So like with the bag, I know it's a really small example, but it's like, I just trust. Could be weeks, could be months, I just trust. And if you don't trust, I should have it now, should have this, should be working, that's where you are taking yourself away from peace. So you're either choosing peace or you're not. Are you choosing peace? I'm choosing peace. I gotta sort my shit out then with separation consciousness, where I'm separated from source, I'm not trusting, and I'm falling into questioning. And it's toxic for the body, because in those moments where I started to get angry, I was like, this actually doesn't feel good. And this isn't about denying our emotions. If you're going to feel angry, if you're feeling it in the body, then feel it. Don't suppress it. If you need to cry, cry. But as a cognitive behavioural therapist background, cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT, is about change your thought. It's, to sum it quickly, change your thoughts to change your mood. And actually now I'm really understanding that at a new level, which is like, if your thought is this is wrong, that influences your emotion where you feel wrong. You feel, not that feeling sad or angry is wrong, but it's toxic to the body if we're in that state all the time. So I've become extremely aware and conscious of when I'm bringing suffering onto myself by being overly connected to my mind and my ego, that's creating these narratives of this is wrong. And then I'm going into this place of, or this person shouldn't treat me like that. They don't love me. They don't see me. These are all narratives I've had and continue to have. And I'm like, I mentioned it in the last episode, like learning to detach from these stories and observe them and bring love to them and come out of the head and into the heart. Microphone, yeah, drop. So I'll just have a bit of tea there. Where was I? So in these moments where I notice this separation consciousness, I'm going to describe separation consciousness in a minute with the rose. I'm like, God, source, creator, God, Goddess, please help me in this moment to overcome this separation consciousness. Please help me to love and forgive and know that I am one with all of these people that I think are separate from me. Okay, what do I mean by that? I talked about this in detail in an episode last year, Mirror Work Part 1, Part 2. I think I did 2 episodes on it. And I read a piece from Anna, the grandmother of Jesus, how she says everybody in your life is a reflection of your own consciousness. Maybe it's an old part of your consciousness, but it's still mirroring back a part of you. They're in your life so you can finally shed that state of consciousness. So if you're like, they're the problem, how dare they? We're actually not understanding that they're a part of us. They're a part of our consciousness. Mirror work, I'm sure you all are aware of that concept. It's hard pill to swallow. Hard pill to swallow. And there's many different layers to that. Sometimes if these people in our lives are deeply unconscious and they're mirroring a very old part of ourselves that we want to move on from, we need a lot of space from those people. However, we can have space from them without making them the enemy, which is something I have done in the past. Took space from people and made them the enemy rather than see them as a part of me. It's very hard to bitch about anyone when you're coming from the perspective of unity consciousness. So let's break down unity. Yin, right? As I drink more of my rose tea. So I've got the pink rose in front of me. And the pink rose for me represents union. So we've got a union of the white and the red, making the pink union. And so many people were craving union. Divine union with a lover, union with God. And when we break down union, right? So this came true when I was bleeding. Union. You Okay, if we're going to spell union, right? U-N-I-O-N. So U-N-I, one. So you and I are one. Union, you and I are one. You and God are one. You and your husband are one. You and I are one. That's what actual union means, that we're not separate from one another. We're never separate from God. We're never separate from the people in our lives. And what I mean by that is, so we are God. We are made in their image, Mother, Father, God. We are them. So everything that they are, we are. Jesus. But we are what he is made of, what they are made of. What Shekinah, Sophia, Gaia is made of. But we are also one with people in our lives that trigger us the most, that we blame and project our shit onto. So what would it be like to see the people in our lives as a part of ourselves? Well, what does that lead to? A whole bottle of compassion, doesn't it? You need a whole lot of compassion in your life to realise that all these people are me. You don't project, you don't judge anymore, you become compassionate to these people. What does compassionate lead to? Peace, soothness. Do you know what takes you away from peace the most? Do you know what takes you away from the mission, which is peace, let's say? I think it's judgment for me. Judgment of myself and others. I've been really keeping track these last few weeks. What is taking me from peace? Distrust. It's not meant to be like this. I'm meant to be somewhere else. I need to be doing more work. Trust that you are where you're meant to be. Trust that you're doing enough. Even if you're not doing enough, you are enough. Doing nothing. There's no such thing as lazy when you're living from the heart. Maybe you need to rest for the next 5 years. Give yourself a break. Self-love, love, the vibration of love will bring you straight to peace. It'll bring you straight to heaven on earth, Tirnanog. Tirnanog, the place of eternal youth. Now that makes sense to me, the place of eternal youth, because our soul is an eternal. It never dies. Our physical body will die. I'll be reborn again and again and again. Either on this planet, somewhere else. I'll definitely be back here. I have lots of work yet to do here on this planet. The place of eternal youth resides within the portal of our soul. And apparently, Saturn is now in Aries. And that is prime grounding to find Tirnanog within. I heard Andrew Smith, astrologist, talk about that. I need to listen to the whole episode he said about it, but I'm feeling it actually. Since Saturn went into Aries, I think I have that right, Jairus, right? If you're listening, my astrology friend. Anyways, okay, so peace. And when I was on pilgrimage, a lovely American girl, Ash, said to me, if you were meant to have met your partner by now, you would have. And she just said it really sternly. And I was like, 100%. If you were meant to have a child, you would have. If you were meant to be on the land, lads, you would have. Right? Why are we questioning? Why are we questioning things? Why are we questioning? Right, maybe we need to take a leap of faith and take action towards our highest timeline. But the more we step into peace and trust, the easier that becomes. You know, I remember when I was living at home here a couple of years ago, and I said to my friend, I was like, I don't know where to move to, I don't know what to do. And she's like, don't worry about any of that, just come home to God. And now I get what she meant, that like I was focused on my external situation to bring me inner peace. And she was like, just focus on the inner stuff and then you will become a magnet to what you need. Does that make sense? And it's so true. I talked about this in my last episode. The less is more. The less I was micromanaging the future or planning, the more things were divinely landing on my lap. And I still have to rein myself in when I go into like future micromanaging and been like, I just trust. And sometimes, you know, specific things need to be planned and organised, but we can still leave fluidity around the exact structure or what that's going to look like in the lead up to it. And I read actually in a book, it's like, there's no such thing as uncertainty in the future because the future hasn't even come yet. So when you live in the present moment, uncertainty kind of dissolves away, if that makes sense. Oh, I don't know where I'll be in a year or a month, or how will I get income in a year or a month. Well, that's a future. The future is actually an illusion, so you don't need to worry about something that hasn't even come yet. Lump sums of money can come out of nowhere when you trust God's plan for you. This is like perhaps some of the stuff I was talking about in an episode before Christmas called New Earth Consciousness. But I realise it's not New Earth Consciousness. It's not Christ consciousness. It is. It's all of those things, but it's beyond those labels. It's the highest vibration of consciousness for humans. Peace, love, appreciation, gratitude, peace, love, forgiveness, compassion, unconditional love. We don't just arrive at these places. It can take lifetimes of devotion to get to these places. I was in bed last night and I was, before I got into bed, I was at my altar and I was just crying. I was like, thank God I've arrived at this place where I'm able to see everything that is not love, and that I feel enough love inside me now to dissolve these unconscious parts of myself. And I lay in bed and all separation consciousness was coming up again. And I was like, God, please help me with this. Please help me to dissolve this. And when I say separation consciousness, this lack of the remembrance of unity consciousness, where these people are separate from me, so I'm going to be like angry or annoyed at these people in my life, because karmic relationships are real. And if you're awake and hanging around with New Earth community and tribe, or you're in a divine union romantic relationship, they're going to bring up all your fucking shit. And you're going to want to at times push them away. This is like one of the most deepest pieces of work, relationship work. So now I'm really aware of what's happening. I'm falling into separation consciousness, and I'm praying to God, for God to help me with it. And this doesn't mean that we always keep these people in our lives. Sometimes naturally we go on different paths, right? But again, it's about not making them the enemy or pushing them away because of your wounds. We can take space. We can naturally see that it's not actually, we're not to go any further in this relationship, but we can do it in a loving way. Conscious uncoupling, they call it. And I've openly spoke about how me and my ex-partner did that. You know, we still love one another, appreciate. Of course, I love everybody. Like, I literally love all sentient beings. Of course I do. You know? And I definitely don't think it's real love if you love them and then they do something bad and then you don't love them all of a sudden. That's not real love, I don't think. But anyways, yeah, and we've had loads of discussions, me and my ex, about what came up for us and where we were in our shadows, where we were projecting, where we weren't in unity consciousness. So I know there's many layers to this, lads. And I've touched on some of these layers over the past 2 years in my episodes. There's many layers to this. It's not easy. As I said, sometimes we really have to like take proper space from people in our lives, especially if there's any sort of abuse. But I do honestly feel, and I have been through the ringer in different scenarios. Trust me, it's not been all love and light for my life, and I've shared some of those experiences. But I have compassion for these people, hurt people. I can see why they were not able to give, or they were abusive, because that's how they were raised. They were abused, they were traumatized. And now I see my parents and I'm like, you're actually fucking amazing, because the fact that they haven't done any healing work and they've managed to raise me and my siblings in such a loving way is actually miraculous. And yes, there was a lot of different things that happened to us growing up, but they did their absolute best. Like, I have such admiration for them, absolute admiration for how well they've done. Because like, I've done a lot of healing on myself, and I can still fall into separation consciousness, you know? So like, bowing to people who have managed to stay in their hearts without doing a lot of deep healing work. Yeah. So I really wasn't sure what I was going to sit down and talk to. I knew different things were moving for me, especially with the roles and that experience I had last night. And so I suppose what's coming true is the mission of peace, enlightenment, ascension. And I think shit's getting real now, where like, we're really been forced, not forced, but we're really been supported astrologically and by the energies present on planet Earth now to really live from the heart. Like, to really, and like, if that means quitting your job, moving into a mobile home or a caravan on a piece of land, I think it's time, lads, to take that action. And I would rather, like, and I'll do a whole episode on how I sustain my life financially, but like, there's so much materialistic things I would sacrifice to be able to focus on the inner mission. I've barely left the land that I'm on now since I came back from my pilgrimage, because everything that I need right now is within. I've gone to the shop to get food, that's basically it. I came back from a 4-week pilgrimage and hadn't drove for that pilgrimage. I was afoot. And the next day I drove to the shop and I hit my car against a pat and I blew my tyre, and I was like, my dad came, luckily, to save the day. Divine masculine, love it. No, I do not want to change the tyre on my car, absolutely not. Anything a man can do, a woman can do better. Bullshit, we need one another, let's hold one another. Anyways, older episode. And I said to Dad, I know what this is about, I'm meant to not be driving, I need to just chill out at home. And I have been, and that was a month ago. The weather has been cold. The whole other episode in itself. Why do we think going off and doing things, foraging, going for a swim, walking, going on a hike, why do we think that's maybe more important than just going back for a daytime nap and meditating all day? I did. I cannot believe it, but I still value that more. So I've been just napping during the day, bats during the day, bats when I walk up. I think I had a bat twice one day. I always feel this energy in the lead up to the solstice, lads. the light is so strong, even if it's behind the clouds, it's shining a light in all of our unconscious. It's a very cocooning time for me. I've completely gone off WhatsApp. I'm here to find inner peace, and I will sacrifice whatever needs to be sacrificed for that. People going on holidays. I mean, I suppose I was on pilgrimage, but like, it's not a holiday as you would know. Like, I'm staying with my friends in their house and we're cooking all our own food, you know? Like, what someone probably spends on a 2-week holiday, I probably live off for the year. Or maybe 3 months anyways, literally. And this isn't about not being abundant. This is about being extremely conscious about how I spend my money, so I do not have to go out of an alignment. So I can stay rooted in my womb and my cyclical ways and my seasons. To focus on the inner mission is the most important. My life is a holiday. Why do I you know? These are all things that are related to you having the spaciousness and time to do this inner work. I've had some of the most, what feels like psychedelic experiences when I've been bleeding out with the trees, just with myself. No psychedelics, no nothing, you know? Stripping it back, lads. And our addiction to form and materialism has taken us away from our formless, which is spirit, which is God, which is our hearts. You can read all about that in New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Relinquishing things was a spiritual practice for a reason, because it's been stripped back bare can bring us back to ourselves. But I think, you know, like, who am I kidding? I eat all organic food. My clothes are organic. I live very, very, very abundantly, but not in a materialistic way, if that makes sense. I'm just not into materialism. I'm just not into all that. That brings me peace. You know, that brings me peace. Okay, I'm going to pause there and take a break and make my dinner. And I will be back with more reflections soon. For you, it'll be a second because it'll be all connected. Tome Arasharish, lads, I am back again. And it is actually 72 hours after I recorded the first bit of the podcast. That full moon in Sagittarius really hit me. Really do feel the moons. So here I am, sharing more reflections. I really love when I do this, actually. I think I mentioned it the last time. Record a large chunk, go off and reflect, and come back and share again and see what's shifted. Witness and observe how that consciousness that I spoke or that I felt in that sitting in the heart space lands within me. What is truth? What is not truth? So I'm going to speak into that now. But it's the remembrance of the mission, the real mission, the inner mission. Our primary purpose is to awaken to our natural vibration and frequency. And it's a soul song. It's why we're here, right? That's how I started off this episode. This is why we are here, to bring the light to the darkness. And we do that by bringing the light of our soul in through the portal of our heart. So I mentioned, let's aim big, let's aim for enlightenment. But really, it's not about aiming for anything, is it? It's about coming back, stripping back, stepping back away from that which is not truth and coming back to our natural origins. So it's an ordinary human existence. It's ordinary as in it's attainable for everybody, because we all are divine human beings. right? This is what the golden age, the new earth, this time that has been prophesied for eons, when humanity would remember the truth of who they are, when they would bring the light to the dark, when they would come back living in their heart space once again. Here we are. This is the time. Tom Anish, the time is now, right? And if we break down, what does enlightenment mean? You know, you'll find in Buddhism and Christianity lots of different descriptions, but really for me it's like the end of suffering. And we're at a space of peace, a state of peace, and we're already that. We are the destination and the path. So we are walking the path to peace, but we are also the destination, which is peace. And I seen a reel or a short, what do they call them, on YouTube, Jim Carrey, who was on the Awakened Path Lads. Probably everyone knew that except me, because I live under a rock. But he also was talking about Eckhart Tolle's books and how there was a moment where he felt it. What Eckhart was talking about in the book, he felt it. He felt enlightened. And then it was gone. And he's been like, how do I get that back? And that's the difference between, like, for me, full enlightenment is when you reach that state and it's like, it stays. So Jesus got to that state where it was just his natural vibration then, right? And so did the Buddha. A lot of us on the path have experienced it for seconds or moments. And that's probably what sustains us on this path, because we know the feeling. We felt it in our bodies. We know it's possible. A lot of people have. I haven't done any much drugs really, or psychedelics, because I'm very sensitive. But a lot of my friends, is it LSD? I'm so naive. I think it's LSD that my friends were brought straight to heaven. Now, I'm not saying to go off and do psychedelics and drugs, because I believe that's attainable by itself. But that's, you know, I'm so happy that they got to that. One of my friends who is like so connected to the divine and God, it was her, I think it was LSD, would that be right, that opened up her channel to God. For me, I found it through meditation. I was sitting in a caravan. I was living in, a mobile home caravan in Wexford. I had some cacao. I was meditating with my partner at the time. I'll never forget it. You know, really simple environment, simple surroundings. I think the fire was lighting. And I was like, Johnny, do you feel it? I'm in heaven. Like, can you feel that? Am I alone? And everything, it was a feeling of enlightenment, because this feeling that even all the shit that's happened to me and all the stuff in the world, that everything is as it's meant to be right now. It was just full trust, full union with God. And then I remember later that night feeling so dysregulated and so separated. I was like, oh, it's gone. And then it comes back and then it goes. But I notice since my birthday this year that it's been more consistent, right? More consistently there, because I'm like, I'm choosing peace, I'm choosing peace, I'm choosing peace. And I'm going to get back to the luggage, the missing luggage, in a minute. But I wish, but everything in hindsight, I wish over the last couple of years, when I was going through the dark night of the soul, that I just had a little warrior or cheerleader beside me being like, girl, don't worry about anything in the external. Don't worry that you're 35 and you're living with your parents and you're broke. Even though I wasn't broke, but I felt it, because I had come off such high wage from the day job. And I wish I just trusted it more, you know, because it just definitely caused me suffering that was so not needed while I was walking on the spiritual path. So you really have to let your ego take a seat, lads, when you're going through a spiritual awakening, because it is massively destructive and traumatic in a way when everything that you thought was real isn't, and the illusions. and all the bullshit in the world and the lies and the agenda and the dark forces hit you like a brick in the nose and the face, and your nose is bleeding and your teeth are broken and there's blood going down your legs, and you realise that it's sacred, but that's been taken from you as well. It's traumatic. So like, I know it's not easy, but just trust, and take little steps every day. That are your authentic self, you know. Really following the heart is, when we go against what the heart needs, that's when we are not allowing ourselves to be at peace. So it really is just follow your heart, live a heart-led life. That is what leads us to peace as well. It's very hard to talk about inner peace when you're in a job you hate, or you're living in a house you hate, you're in relationships you hate, or your heart is sore, you know. And it's interesting because, you know, my certain people in my life aren't on the path, and I told my mum, you know, just to watch the news, and she's like, I can feel it now, what you mean, like in my heart, it doesn't feel good. And I'm like, yes. Don't do things that your heart doesn't like. Basically leads to heart disease. And once again, I do apologise, lads, the sound isn't great on this, but I'm working on it. You know, I'm working on it. I don't have a laptop, and I am just so glad I have something to record this on, because this is good for me. Okay, what else did I want to share? I wrote down a few things. Peace, soothness. So just some more threads on it. Yeah, for me, it's not just obviously about like doing things in the external for your heart to bring inner peace. That is a part of it, obviously. It is about really, you know, looking at our thoughts and our beliefs and our addiction to drama. Because this planet has had drama for eons, and the human psyche has become addicted to that. That we have to look at I think it's because my Venus is in Gemini. Yeah. That like, what really, really, really gets me going and juicy is fucking communicating our consciousness and what is low and what is high. What is high vibration consciousness? What is enlightenment, right? We have to look at what isn't that. So really just encouraging you now over this next while to observe your day-to-day life to see what's taking me away from peace. Okay. I'm going to name out some, and I'm going to get back to the luggage again as an example of what took me from peace. There's a little paragraph here in A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and it's called, Do You Want Peace or Drama? You want peace. There is no one who does not want peace. Yet there is something else in you who wants the drama, wants the conflict. You may not be able to feel it at this moment. You may have to wait for a situation or even just a thought that triggers a reaction in you. Someone accusing you of this or that, not acknowledging you, encroaching on your territory, questioning the way you do things, an argument about money. Right? Can you hear your own voice becoming harsher, shrill or louder? Can you be aware of your mind racing to defend its position, justify attack and blame? Can you feel that there is something in you that is at war, something that feels threatened and wants to survive at all costs, that needs the drama in order to assert its identity? Can you feel there is something in you that would rather be right than at peace? Wow. I could spend days dissecting that chapter, that little paragraph alone. Right or wrong. Right or wrong. You know? And I have a lot of fire in me, so I'm like, that's just not right. You know, my family member who was sent home from hospital without a discharge plan, I obviously worked in a hospital, and I was like, that's just not right. And I'm like, oh, here I am again. Right and wrong. Right and wrong. This is how it should be. This is how it should be. And, you know, with these things, there was calls needed to the hospital and there is follow-up. But it's like getting out of this right or wrong thing and just being with the situation. Just observing these things. When am I getting defensive? Because it's not about I'm right and you're wrong, because we're all one. Remember that? So if they're wrong, you're wrong. So I won't go into all these things in detail, but again, just observing some things that will take us from peace. Judgment, defensiveness, complaining about things. As I said, needing to be right. Judgment of ourselves and others. Not living a heart-led life. So just thinking, what takes me from peace? And I noticed when I was feeling angry today that it needed to be felt because it was coming up and I needed to feel it, but it was a lot for the nervous system. And it's like, yeah, I think I really, really, really have to dig deep into what core wounds come up for me that need to be really healed and looked and loved, that are not unconsciously bringing a lot of toxicity to my body, unfelt emotions, trauma. Does that make sense? Anyways, so just looking in our day-to-day lives, what takes us away from the internal mission of peace. And I'm reminded by Anne Frank, and I think it's Viktor Frankl, two people who experienced World War II, Nazi Germany and the Netherlands, and Frank was in the Netherlands. I always feel very connected to her. I think she's of the Rose lineage, because I actually visited the house she was in many, many, many years ago, and read her book, and it really stuck with me because she's literally in hideout because she's a Jew, and she talks about, I still focus on the good in the world. And I was like, Jesus, this little girl is enlightened. Viktor Frankl was the same. He was in a concentration camp and he wrote a book, right? Man's Search for Meaning. And he talks about how it's about how you respond to something when something bad happens. And like, he's literally in a concentration camp, staying peaceful and influencing his fellow inmates. Jesus Christ, like, that's next level. This is what I'm talking about. How do we respond instead of react? And that no matter what is happening, we can still cultivate inner peace. And I can see the path I have to go with that, lads. I'm not saying I'm there at all. Trust me, I'm not. But I can definitely notice how far I've come. It's momentous. It's healing. And my body feels younger for it. Like, honest to God, lads, I'm 37 now, right? My body has never felt so youthful. My womb is like the womb of a 16-year-old. I am getting younger, I think. Because I'm shedding toxic patterns. Toxic consciousness. That is young for the body. Rejuvenating is the word, isn't it? Okay, more reflections. I think the biggest thing as well for me, I wrote it down when I was reflecting on what I'd already said on Monday. It's now Thursday. Resistance and non-acceptance to what is. That can really take us away from peace. You know, when I was living at home a couple of years ago, I was resistant and not accepting. So that can create a lot of inner turmoil. And I just don't question things as much at all anymore. It's a really beautiful feeling, lads, to not question yourself or because, I've really, in the last 12 months since I moved to Kerry, or I lived in Kerry because I've left Kerry now, cultivated so much inner peace, but nothing in my external had changed. As in, I was living somewhere different for a period, but like I didn't get more money or buy a piece of land or get married or have a child, all these things that I want. Well, like, I want children and I want a partner, or I would like to. Or I trust God's plan. It's not even that I want it, I just actually intuitively feel it's part of my path. But none of them things have happened for me to cultivate peace. And that's even better. Because my therapist always says to me, your path seems to be about not getting what you think you need. And that's where I've cultivated a lot of peace, stripping things back. Yeah, so like, that's the inner mission. I'm not waiting for these things to come to feel at peace or to feel happy at all. And I really do. If there's anything I trust, it's about that, kids and all that. If that's meant to happen, it will come. I trust God's plan and I trust his intervention with it. Anyways, so yeah, accepting and not resisting what is in your reality, and that every single thing in our reality is here for our evolvement, right? I remember like years ago having a mess up with a friend of mine, and I was like, if she had just not said that, we wouldn't have all this bullshit of me having to move out now and all this stuff. And when I look back, I was like, but that was there for my evolvement. Like, I know in hindsight it's great, but to bring it in when it's happening is even better. So anyways, I'm going to come back to the bag because I recorded this episode and I was like, peace and love and light and all, and then full moon in Sagittarius came, and I was like, okay, it's 4 weeks on. I'm actually really annoyed about my bag now because I'm ovulating and I'm ready to do some work. Not annoyed, no, that's not. I was actually sad. Like, I actually cried when I was meditating this morning because it's not that I didn't have my bag. It brought up wounds for me because a friend of mine who mistakenly brought the bag over to the UK was meant to post it back to me. So my core wounds were triggered. He doesn't love me. He doesn't see me. He doesn't understand the work that I do and how I need my laptop, right? I had all these stories coming up. And I was like, this isn't integrity. Like, does he not care about me? I need this. And I was like, oh, peace. And I just want to be at peace. And I realised, actually, there's an opportunity for me to share my heart vulnerabilities with my friend, because my core wounds, my pain body has been triggered. It's here now. The emotions are here. They're in the body. I can't suppress them. I can't talk my way out of them. I have to go through it. Like, I'm a therapist. I know this. So I had a cry and I was like, no, I'm going to message this person. And I'm so glad I did, because they were like, I'm really sorry. You're right. It was my responsibility. I was busy. I didn't prioritise. I had stuff on. It ended up getting caught in customs and sent back, which was out of our control. And I feel so much better, lads. Now I feel at peace because luckily I have people in my life who I can share my vulnerabilities and truths with. And I said, like, I don't want to be in separation. I know you and me, you are me and I am you, and it's nobody's fault here. I just wanted to air my, what did I say? I wanted to air my feelings on it without judging or right or wrong here. Oh, it was so beautiful. And I think sometimes in those situations, we just want the person to say, I hear you, I'm sorry. I hear you, I'm sorry. And, I really think, sorry, I'm just making sure this is still recording. I think this is conscious communication in relationships where I wasn't like overly aggressive or anything like that. I really just shared it from my heart. And luckily with this person, we've had many conversations about conscious communication. And the minute I said that, it just like the tension fell away, because all these stories that I built up in my head, I just knew they weren't true the minute I said it. And he said, I'm sorry. It was like, this wasn't about my wounded inner child that felt not seen or loved. It's not about that, Elaine. This isn't about you. It's actually not personal. It's actually not personal at all. So I was like, oh God, how am I going to weave this into the podcast now? But it's absolutely it's all one. How like peace isn't always as easy as just been like, I just trust. I just fully trust. Sometimes there's a messy, chaotic piece that has to be looked at, which is like, but my pain body has been triggered. And the pain body is connected to the ego. And Eckhart talks about that, you know. I think it may be in The Power of Now, but he's like, if you notice your pain body has been triggered, approach the person in your life and like, just to let you know, my pain body has been triggered from this situation. So you can sit down and talk about what I brought up for you. And I was able to do that with my friend. I probably could have went into more detail, but there wasn't any need. And then we were like, love you. It's all good, trusting it. Like there's a higher, I think, honestly, my bag is over there because I need to be in the UK and I'm going next week and I'll go get the bag myself. And the bag allowed me to be here last week to bring a family member to hospital. So it is all divine, but sometimes there's human emotions within that need to be shared. And I feel like that's part of the peaceful process. The peace mission has been, and I've shared this, I can't remember in what episode last year, around conscious communication. And the reason why I actually have a really good relationship with my family now, my parents, is because I had to speak truth. You know? Like, it upsets me when this happens, and if it happens again, I can't be around it. And things have been a lot better since then. So that's brought peace, you know? I think as someone who's extremely compassionate and extremely trusting, I said this to my friend today, that I've actually bypassed my own, I wouldn't even say boundaries, I would just say like discernment around when my heart is being not honoured by people in my life, because I'm like, oh well, they're mirroring stuff back for me, and oh sure, it's all divine, when I actually just need to be like, the cord of truth, or the sword of truth, being like, that's actually not acceptable. And that brings peace, I think, when you're like in alignment with your heart and what your heart needs, and not taking bullshit. And obviously I've been, you know, as I've shared many times, I was in an abusive relationship in my late teens and early 20s, because I just seen the light in that person, even though he was abusive towards me. So a part of me feeling peaceful is that I now surround myself with people who I can share my truth with. They love me, they see me, they allow me to receive, I give. It's reciprocal, it's healthy, it's balanced. So there's a side note that was obviously very a part of this episode, because it happened in between me sharing it. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to be honest and say, actually, I know maybe it shouldn't have annoyed me, but it did. Because I was like, I think when my family member went to the hospital, like everything didn't matter at that point. But when things calm down and you're sitting and meditating, things come up, and sometimes you have to look at them, even though it's uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable having to look at that today and message him and all. I just was like, oh, I just wanted to be in love and light. I just wanted to drink and make a cow and go into union with God. And then it was like, no, this is actually really annoying me, and I need to say it out loud. And then it's dispersed. And given that it was a full moon, it's a great time to release stuff. And it made me realise that had this pattern with men for a long time, because this person was a man, that I just like, oh, it's fine, it's grand, I trust everything. And then I keep telling the universe then that I'm okay to that sort of behaviour where things aren't, the person hasn't taken responsibility for something, because he did say, it was my responsibility and I'm sorry I didn't get to it. So by me speaking my truth, I'm telling the universe, actually, I am worthy and needing of people in my life who take responsibility, right? And because I'm so devoted to my mission and to love that I do really need people in my life who can get it done, So today was a big day for me, actually. I was just really letting spirit know what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with. And even though there's this higher thing of trust and everything, we also still need to co-create our reality. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. That is that. I have another reflection that I'm going to squeeze in here. This was after I finished ending the recording. Is that I actually said it to my friend when I was debriefing about the situation today, is that sometimes when we're angry at someone else, we're actually angry at ourselves. And when we call someone else out, we're actually calling ourselves out. If that makes sense. So like, okay, I'm angry that this has happened, but like I had to take radical responsibility for my part that played in it, that allowed that situation with the bag to unfold. And not in a like judgmental way, but like radical responsibility. And, as well, when I'm saying I need to show the universe that I need people who are like, show up and take responsibility. Well, that's like, yeah, I have to do that in order to attract that as well. My relationship with my inner masculine needs to step up, because that's been reflected, as I talked about for many episodes, my difficult relationships with the masculine romantically was mirroring my own stuff as well. So I just wanted to add that in, that I did reflect on that if I'm angry with someone else, it's because I'm angry with myself. And not angry, but like, really radically having to look at the choices and decisions that I have made that sometimes I haven't always been in full alignment. Like just radically honest as well with myself. And not playing the victim. And what I don't like in the other person is what I'm not liking in myself, and that I need to sort that out. So I'll share more on this maybe, but this whole situation, these different scenarios recently, I've been like, I have to step up into my own inner king. And maybe some of that doesn't make sense, but when I'm talking about men here in my life, a lot of it is about my own inner king and needing to heal that. This is the mirror work, the unity, I am you and you are me. And how every time we point at someone, there's 3 fingers pointing back. Gotta look within, And it just reminds me how grateful I am for the spaciousness in my life, to have had time today to deal with all of that, to reflect on it. I spoke to my friend Jerris about it. I said it out loud. I wrote about it. I obviously talked to a person about it. I talked to my family about it. Because like, I want to know if it's my blind spot, and I need to know, actually, no, you do need to say something, or is this peace, So it's a full-time job, and it's the most important job. It's the most important mission. Remembering the mission. Love, peace, unity, consciousness, weaving across the planet, within my heart, within my womb, within my home, within my house, within your home, within your house, within your relationships. Let us bring peace and unity once again to these sacred lands of Eru, for this is a time that Eru has dreamed of, when the people of Ireland would remember their true origins, would remember the ancient wisdom of these lands, would remember the codes of light that have been encoded in the sacred temples of Brúna Báine, Newgrange, Loughcrew. The land here is our guiding light to us remembering why we are here, why we came here to these sacred Celtic lands, to remember our true origins, to remember we were made for these times. We have what it takes. It is a courageous, brave mission to be here on this planet through much separation, but I promise you we can do it. I have your back. I support you. I see you, woman and man, overcoming ancestral trauma, social conditioning, heart pain, walls around your heart, heart palpitations on this heart-led path. I know. I see you overcoming it all. I feel your courage and determination and resilience to remember who you were before you came through the birth canal, a wise soul connected to love and light, unified at one with God. I remember you. I see you. I support you. Let's do this together, lads. Let's do it. We're doing it. I love you. I support you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to all my heart musings. Yes, Shine ma anam karja. That is it for today. I could talk all day and all night, but I need to regulate myself. I need to go get some food and rest, because this is a tiring job. Shifting all of our density to bring in the light that is flooding the planet right now. So I'm wishing you a beautiful week, a beautiful summer solstice. May the light shine upon you. May you go out and celebrate with your family, your community, your New Earth tribe, that we are here and we remember. I love you. Take care. Slán go fóill.